When we watch a finished movie, we don't see what went on behind the scenes to make it. The process of making a movie is known for being messy, unpredictable, and sometimes even dangerous. Some behind-the-scenes stories can't be made up, and you can find them in some of the most famous movies ever made. We've all grown up watching spectacular movies like The Terminator, but what work goes behind the camera? You may not have known it before you watched this video. Some of the most iconic cinematics come from a lot of work behind. In this video, we'll reveal some of our favorite movies' cinematic secrets in their behind the scenes. The floating pen in 2001: A Space Odyssey was pulled off with double-sided tape and a pane of glass. 2001: A Space Odyssey by Stanley Kubrick is not only one of the best science fiction movies ever made, but it also has a fixed place in the history of movies. From the start of Dawn of Man to the scary appearance of HAL 9000 later on, there are a lot of reasons why the movie is still so well known. One of the main reasons is that the special effects team did a great job, especially with the idea they came up with to recreate a rocket scene with no gravity. Brian Johnson, a special effects artist, said in the documentary Making a Myth that he and his friends used double-sided tape to stick a pen to a round piece of glass with a steel frame and bearings around it to make it look like it was floating. The Alien cast didn't know the full extent of the famous chestburster scene until they started filming. In Ridley Scott's Alien, one of the scariest parts is the chestburster scene, but no matter how scary the movie was for the millions of people who saw it in theaters and the countless others who've seen it over the years, nothing can compare to how the actors reacted on set. In a 2015 interview with BBC Breakfast, Sigourney Weaver, who played the tough Ellen Ripley in Alien, said that the cast knew about the situation before they started shooting, but the script didn't prepare them for what happened next. The first scene, which showed John Hurt's reaction to the xenomorph about to burst through his chest, was so real that Weaver thought her co-star was going to die. On the other hand, the next picture showed the real doll breaking through the fake chest with blood spraying everywhere. Weaver said that the responses of the actors in the movie are true. The T-800 in Terminator. The idea behind the Terminator came to James Cameron in a fever dream. Like many other artists, James Cameron's idea for the Terminator came to him when he was least expecting it. In the documentary The Making of the Terminator, the creative and award-winning director said that the idea for his groundbreaking movie came to him in a fever dream while he was marketing Piranha 2: The Spawning in Rome. He said, "I was just sitting in my hotel room. I had a high fever because at the time I was sick. I was lying in bed thinking when I had this strange picture. I also think it was easy for me to see myself in these two people from the future who were out of sync, out of time, and out of place because I was alone in a strange place and felt disconnected from people in general." James Cameron went on to say that he'd always wanted to make the best robot movie. So he took the idea that came to him in a crazy dream and turned it into the Terminator as we know it today. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, and Leslie Hamilton in Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Linda Hamilton's twin sister helped pull off the Sarah Connor mirror trick in Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Judgment Day in Terminator 2: Judgment Day is possibly the best summer movie of all time. It has legendary special effects scene after legendary special effects scene. There are a lot of cutting-edge visual effects done with computers, but one of the most important parts of the movie, Sarah Connor or Linda Hamilton's reflection, was done in a more realistic but still smart way, with Hamilton's twin sister Leslie. In an EW story from August 2020, it was said that Linda Hamilton had died. It was said that the only time the twin sister of the franchise star featured in a movie was as the T-1000 imitating Sarah Connor and in the scene where the hero works on the T-800 while seen in a mirror. Dan and Don Stanton were used to pull out the scene in which T-1000, Robert Patrick, copies one of the orderlies in the mental hospital scene along with Linda and Leslie Hamilton. The Dog Thing in The Thing. Special effects icon Stan Winston created the Dog Thing puppet in The Thing, but didn't ask for credit. Most of the special effects in John Carpenter's 1982 sci-fi horror movie The Thing were done by the well-known Rob Bottin. During filming, Bottin's team was small, so he asked the late Stan Winston for help. Winston came up with an easy way to make the terrifying dog thing seen in the huge dog kennel scene, which is one of the most famous parts of the movie. Stan Winston and his team worked around the clock to get something up and running quickly. The Stan Winston School of Character Arts says that after everything was done, Winston asked not to be recognized for his work so that he wouldn't take anything away from Rob Bottin and the great work he did on the rest of the movie. Jeff Bridges and Cindy Morgan in Tron. Tron was shot in black and white with the color added in post-production. To make Jeff Bridges and the other actors in Tron look like digitized figures, the production team came up with a very clever way to do it and didn't require hours and hours of computer work like other parts of the movie did. A 2017 article in Variety about the 35th anniversary of the premiere of Tron said that the players wore white clothes and the scenes were shot in black and white. Then, the standard wavy coloring we all know and love would be added with backlit animation. Kurtwood Smith and Peter Weller in RoboCop. Peter Weller, training for the New York City Marathon while filming RoboCop, hung out with the bad guys because they were health freaks. In Paul Verhoeven's over-the-top science fiction action movie RoboCop, Detroit police officer Alex Murphy goes to hell and back. Peter Weller, who played the dead officer turned cyborg built to clean up crime in a future Detroit, does the same thing. Weller said in an SFX article about the making of the cult classic from 1987 that he had to wait for hours before each day of filming to get dressed and that he was also training for the New York City Marathon. During all of this, he didn't ask any of his on-screen friends for help or support. Instead, he hung out with bad guys like Kurtwood Smith, Ray Wise, Calvin Young, and Paul McCrane, all of whom were health freaks. After all, the Boddicker gang in RoboCop isn't that bad. The actor who played Gort in The Day the Earth Stood Still was first spotted working at Grauman's Chinese Theater. In the 1951 version of The Day the Earth Stood Still, the big robot Gort wasn't brought to life by fancy camera tricks or special effects. Instead, Lock Martin, who was 7 feet 7 inches tall, moved to make Gort come to life. In 2011, The Independent published a story that said someone remembered seeing Martin, a tall doorman at Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood, when the filmmakers were looking for the right actor to play the silent robot. The article broke down the famous last scene of the sci-fi classic and talked about how Martin got the part. Lock Martin died in 1959. He's been in a lot of movies. His most recent role was as the Yeti and the Abominable Snowman of the Himalayas, but he didn't get any credit for it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you liked it and stay tuned with us for more.